They're taking black jobs.
Hey man, did Trump say the black jobs? They taking the black, who is they? They. Can I get an application? I need to get hired on with the black jobs. How much they paying for the black jobs? I never heard of them. Nobody, y'all black people ain't told nobody about the black jobs. Man, God, what's wrong with y'all, black people? There are black jobs out there that they taking. The black jobs. Let me know. Hello, anybody know where the black jobs are? Hello, the black jobs. Yeah.
Trump expected black people to fill in those positions that the illegal immigrants or the immigrants were doing in the fields. I can tell you, Mr. President, that is not fucking happening. We are not going back in the field. You could get that out your mind. You and all your Republican buddies, it's not happening. So you need to come up with a better solution for your shortage of staff. You can't pay us enough. We've been there. We've done that. Not happening. You need to figure out how to work out a path to citizenship for all these hard-working immigrants that do want to work in this country. Because there are lots of people that comes into this country that honestly want to work. Not all immigrants that's here, whether they're here legal or illegally, want to commit crime or do commit crime. Statistically proven, you have more homegrown assault on this country than anything else. Mass shooting for one. You understand? So you need to figure out something. But black people, we're not the solution to that. We're not going back. And I believe if for some reason that was ever attempted, you're going to have a fight on your hands. Let me know what y'all think in the comments, man.
Two fronts, being in the Afghan war and the Iraq war, especially recently with Trump's statements towards Cuba. The Trump administration obviously doesn't know what they're doing, and they don't have a long-term strategy for Iran. It also means that as Americans, we could probably prepare to go into Iran, since they are calling in literally the only person that could give them guidance on a long-term war. Are you scared yet? I am.
Because ultimately she's there like Omarosa would be there. What exactly is she being brought in to, provide advisement on? It'll be interesting to see how other political commentators comment on her inclusion in the conversations right now. I think it'll also be interesting to hear her perspective, how she viewed either her experience or just, her thoughts, because I remember how problematic she was and really just continues to be, So I have been looking at kind of diverse perspectives, specifically from Black women on Condoleezza Rice at this point, because I think it's pretty interesting to see how Black women are, kind of cheering her inclusion on. Like it seems like in the comment section and people who are posting videos, that they're excited that she's there. They're saying things like, Black women to the rescue. A Black woman always has to come in and save the day. Condoleezza Rice has so many accomplishments, and things like that. But I'm like, what is it that y'all think that she is going to do as it relates to saving something? Like, what is the context that you're putting out there about what it is that what her role is? And I just hope that we are able to, as Black women, have more of a critical lens around Black women in politics specifically, and also really deconstructing what inclusion and representation, what that means, and when and how that's activated.
Hey, Condi. Yeah, Condoleezza. Why are you going to the White House? What are you doing? Is it a fundraiser? Are you there to smell his farts? What's the deal, girl? Why are you there? The architect of the Iraq war. What's going on, girl? You going scorched earth? Well, we're about to. We are so about to. $2 billion worth of military assets lost in 3 or 4 days. That's pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. No, we're not prepared for this because your ego got in the way. Because poor planning is how you plan. You don't actually look at all options.
Let's just keep it real. This is racism. Donald Trump shut down DC. Not because he wants to get rid of the homeless people. Not because he's so concerned about these gangs of young people. No, he shut it down because it's a predominantly black area. And we know, going way back in his history, he does not like black people. That's what this is about. This is about purging. Oh, I'm so mad. Oh my God. This is about purging people of color from that area. And it'll be the first. He'll try more. This is like, people say California was the test. I don't think California was the test. It wasn't strong enough. This is the test, DC. And if we allow this to move forward, we're in trouble. Because he will go after every major city, and he'll go after people of color first. And even though there's been this big immigration hit with our Hispanic brothers and sisters, I feel like for him, with the DC thing, this is about black people specifically. And we know, those of us who've been paying attention, all the protests we've been having for months and months and months, black people have stayed out of it for the most part, which was quite wise. And we all know why. If you don't know why, ask one of your black friends. And everybody should have a black friend and a brown friend. Have lots of them. It's good. Makes you a better person. Diversity. It's good. So let's not let Trump get away with thinking that we're idiots and that we don't see exactly what's going on, what he's trying to do. This will not become an all-white America. No, we are not vanilla. We're not. We were never meant to be vanilla. I don't want vanilla. I want 31 flavors. I'm so mad. This shit pisses me off.
So Trump was in the Oval Office, discussing how he's headed to Chicago next to deploy the military to help fight crimes. Now, hearing him say that African American women are screaming for him to come fight crime in Chicago, I don't understand why this man just lies, because 92% of black women voted for Kamala. And why would a black woman would be screaming for him to help do anything? Does he not know that 92% of black women voted for Kamala? Y'all need to let y'all president know, because obviously he doesn't know.
Policies. Here it is.
If they let in hundreds or thousands of people who already have criminal records, if deporting them creates a mass deportation, I'm all for it.
But what if rounded up in all of that are people who work on a farm? They're doing the jobs that Americans don't want to do. Does that worry you?
That wouldn't be fair. Of course, they need to make sure that they don't throw away, they don't kick out, they don't deport people that are family oriented.
Oh, okay. This is what the family told MSNBC.
Mario and Mireya both crossed the border illegally as teenagers, but became citizens under President Ronald Reagan's amnesty. They see themselves as different from migrants crossing the border today. In what way do you think they're different?
The people that are coming here are the criminals. The ones that did something bad in their country, they're running away from their law.
Despite having close family members who are undocumented,
migrant invasion.
They don't believe they'll end up in Trump's crosshairs. When you hear Trump promise mass deportations, do you worry about them?
Yes and no, because the ones that I know, they're doing good.
Black women, Trump finally came through for us. And I know we've been waiting, black women, saying like, is he gonna, he tearing up so much ish. Is he ever gonna do anything for us? Like something that like we need, that black women deserve. Y'all, so I heard that Schindler in Chief is giving us back our own bathrooms. And listen, I cannot be more excited. You mean to tell me that I no longer have to share a restroom with people who don't wash their hands? They don't even use washcloths. Or they'll sit on the toilet seat without lining and won't even squat. You mean I no longer have to get like 20 paper towels to open the door when I leave the bathroom? Listen, I know that the Schindler in Chief did not think that separating toilets was gonna make us come back outside. That was a gift. You know what? I know y'all listen, black women. I know we don't like a lot of things that Trump is doing, and we're gonna get back to our regular scheduled program tomorrow, right? Because he's gonna do something else stupid. But today, we're gonna thank him for giving us our bathrooms back. Now, listen, y'all go see the videos. Only certain people are talking about that there's a discrimination. Black women, I am honored to share a bathroom with just y'all.
More Trump voters are publicly regretting their vote for Donald Trump as he continues to back out of campaign promises and instead focuses on his billionaire friends. Now, first it was the Steelworkers Union out of Pennsylvania. Now firefighter unions in New York City are publicly speaking out as Donald Trump and Republicans failed to fund the 9/11 first responder healthcare program that is designed to help the first responders who are still suffering from being there on the ground during 9/11. Now, you could say that Donald Trump had nothing to do with that, but understand Republicans took that out of the funding bill under direction from President-elect Trump and Elon Musk. Now, so far, Donald Trump has only focused on delivering for his billionaire buddies and nonsense such as Greenland, Canada, Mexico, Panama, all this stuff that he didn't talk about. Not once have you heard him talk about lowering gas prices, lowering grocery prices, your energy bill, etc. All the things he promised during the campaign, he is backing out of because he only cares about one person, himself, and the people who paid to get him elected. More Trump voters are publicly regretting their vote for Donald Trump.
We have some big news right now. Some Trump voters are now seeing and having buyer's remorse over voting for him. Posts like these are popping up on Twitter, which is Elon Musk's platform, saying, quote, "I officially regret my vote for Trump. Nobody said anything on the campaign trail about attacking legal immigrants or tossing out H-1B employees. To my Indian friends, I will not stay silent. You are not the problem." This is in response to public discourse on the app between far-right MAGA influencers and Elon Musk and Ramaswamy over H-1B visas. And this isn't the only post you're seeing right now. You're seeing several people come out and kind of say that they're regretting their vote for Donald Trump given the xenophobia and racism that is being espoused by many of his top influencers. Now, people having regrets for voting for one person or the other are not uncommon. It happens often. But it is jarring that this conversation is already starting and Donald Trump hasn't even taken office yet. I mean, it's still less than a month before he is sworn into office. If you voted for Donald Trump, let me know in the comments. Do you regret voting for him? Comment below your thoughts, spread the word, and follow along for all the news you need.
Trump launched a war 6,000 miles from America. He can't fight it without European bases, airspace, and strategic geography, yet he keeps threatening the very allies whose cooperation he desperately needs. Here's a pattern that reveals everything. Trump has spent months insulting Europe, threatening Spain with trade embargoes, calling UK leadership not Winston Churchill, demanding Germany pay 5% of GDP for NATO. Don't even get me started on the tears that we've discussed ad infinitum. Then he launched a war in Iran and immediately discovered he actually needs every single one of them. I'm Elle of House Civil on YouTube. I have a PhD in computer science and I use data analysis to spot patterns in geopolitics and economics. Bloomberg published the headline, "Trump finds he needs Europe now that he's waging war in Iran." The article notes that for years Europe endured Trump's complaints that it's a complicit continent hiding under America's security umbrella. Now, as he launches his first open-ended military campaign, European leaders find themselves holding something he definitely definitely needs their bases, airspace, and strategic geography. This is a structural weakness Trump cannot insult his way out of. America cannot bomb Iran from Washington. Aircraft needs refueling, missiles need launch points, drones need bases within range. The Middle East is on Europe's doorstep, not America's. When Trump and Israel struck Iran on February 28th, very few people in Europe were informed beforehand. Hannah Newman, member of the European Parliament and chair of the delegation for relations with Iran, told CNBC that even German Chancellor Merz had just been informed a few minutes in advance. Minutes, not days, not even hours. Minutes before launching a war that would require sustained European cooperation. Then Trump showed up needing their help. If you want frameworks for analyzing these cascading risks and spotting them before they compound, my book Awake, the Practice of Critical Thinking in an Age of Self-Lies breaks down critical thinking methodologies in detail. It's available as an ebook and audiobook. Subscribers get 10% off, and you can get the first chapter for free in the description links. Britain initially refused to let US forces use UK bases for offensive strikes on Iran. Trump responded by insulting Prime Minister Keir Starmer. This is not Winston Churchill that we're dealing with, he said. He specifically criticized London for denying permission to use British military bases in the Chagos Islands, an archipelago in the Indian Ocean, for offensive strikes against Iran. The UK eventually agreed to allow US use of its bases for defensive strikes on Iranian missile sites only, not offensive operations, defensive. That's called negotiating from a position of strength. Britain set conditions. Trump needed their Cyprus bases badly enough to accept the limitations. UK sent helicopters with anti-drone capabilities and a warship to Cyprus after an Iranian drone hit a British military base there. They're defending their own territory, not joining Trump's offensive. Trump told The Telegraph he was very disappointed and that it took far too long for the US to get base access. Translation in normal words, Trump needed Britain more than Britain needed to join this war. Spain denied use of its military bases for US flights connected to military offensive against Iran. Trump's response was to threaten to cut off all trade with Spain. We've covered Spain's defiance in detail previously. I'm going to link that analysis in the description and in your screen right now. Check it out next. How the EU closed ranks, how Trump's threat was structurally impossible because the EU negotiates trade collectively, but the Spain situation illustrates the broader pattern. Spanish Defense Minister Margarita Robles told Cadena Ser Radio on Thursday, "Our position has been very clear from day one." She contradicted White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, who had claimed Spain shifted its position. Leavitt said, and I'm quoting here, "With respect to Spain, I think they heard the president's message yesterday loud and clear. They've agreed to cooperate with the US military." Spain immediately denied this. No cooperation, no base access, no change. Trump threatened economic warfare. Spain called his bluff. And Spain has what Trump needs: the Rota Naval Base and Moron Air Base, both crucial for Mediterranean and North African operations. French President Emmanuel Macron said in his address to France that the US-Israeli strikes were, and I'm quoting here, conducted outside the framework of international law, though he laid the primary responsibility for the situation at Iran's feet. France is protecting European territory, not supporting American offensive operations. On March 5th, French broadcaster BFM TV reported that France authorized American armed forces to use French bases amid the war. But this came after days of negotiation, legal positioning, and French insistence on framing the conflict within their own parameters. France has leveraged Mediterranean access, North African bases, naval assets. Trump needs French cooperation to sustain Middle East operations. France granted limited access on their terms, not Trump's. German Chancellor Merz sat next to Trump during a White House press conference just a few days ago, where Trump insulted Britain and Spain. Merz remained mostly silent, later telling reporters he addressed both issues very clearly in a personal conversation because he didn't want to air the conflict publicly. Merz did say publicly, however, that Mullah regime is a terrorist regime responsible for decades of oppression of the Iranian people. We share the interest of the United States and Israel in seeing an end to this regime's terror. But sharing interests doesn't equal unconditional support. Germany controls crucial airspace and logistics. Merz negotiated privately while Trump needed him publicly. The European Council on Foreign Relations called Trump's war strategic lunacy, their words, and noted another quote here, "Instead of looking for ways to press Trump to end the conflict and help the region find a political off-ramp, several key European actors are cheerleading on the side sidelines. Even Germany's public support came with private conditions and limitations that Trump had to accept. Carl Bildt, former Prime Minister of Sweden and co-chair of the European Council on Foreign Relations, told CNBC, another quote here, "What we're seeing now is not a great picture of the coherence of U.S. policies. Clearly, this is something decided in very uncertain ways by the president, and if you listen to him, why he started the war, there is no clear explanation for that." He also added, "When you start a war, you should have a reason for it." Trump launched operations requiring European cooperation without explaining strategic objectives to the allies whose bases he needed. Then he threatened them when they asked questions. Geography doesn't care about threats. Iran is 6,000 miles away from Washington. It is literally on Europe's doorstep. Every sustained operation requires European airspace, refueling, logistics, basing. Trump told reporters about Spain, "We could use our base if we want. We could just fly in and use it. Nobody's going to tell us not to use it." That is not how sovereignty works. That is not how alliances work. And critically, that is not how military logistics work when you need sustained operations over weeks or months. Spain controls Spanish airspace. Britain controls British bases. France controls French Mediterranean access. Trump can threaten and make speeches, but he cannot force. For years, Trump complained Europe was hiding under America's security umbrella. Now he's waging a war he cannot sustain without European permission. The European Council on Foreign Relations noted, and I'm quoting them again here, Europeans had weeks of notice that U.S. President Donald Trump was about to trigger a war in the Middle East. The conflict is now wreaking carnage in the world's most energy-rich region on an hourly basis, increasing the direct cost to Europeans and boosting Russia's war coffers. But Europe's collective response forced Trump to negotiate. Britain set defensive-only condition. Spain refused entirely. France demanded legal justifications. Germany extracted concessions in private. Trump needed each of them more than they all needed this war. America's global military presence depends on allied cooperation. Bases are not American territory. They're agreements that can be withdrawn or conditioned. Trump spent months threatening trade wars, insulting leaders, demanding increased NATO contributions. Then he launched a war requiring the cooperation of every ally that he had just insulted. The result, of course, was conditional support at best, outright refusal at worst, and Trump forced to accept limitations he would never have tolerated if he had held the leverage that he claims. Europe has what Trump needs: geography, and geography does not negotiate. It just exists, forcing American military operations to route through European territory whether Trump likes their conditions or
voted for President Trump.
Yes, sir.
Why did you vote for him?
Because I was an idiot. 80% of the evangelical Christian people were lied to, if you really want to know the truth, and that's exactly what happened. They said criminal, and I believe criminals need to be off the street.
I just want to make sure people watching this understand who you are.
My wife and I, when we don't work, we're ministers. We help the needy. That's what we do.
Then, if somebody is competent enough to put on a rally like that, I don't know how then to explain you're voting for this. Put that back up, Kylie. Mass deportations. Now, I don't know how you get dipshits to understand when they're stupid. I don't know.
I don't think you can, because this is not just isolated with the Hispanic community. You have the small businesses and farmers who are now like, we have to file bankruptcy for our farms. Like, bankruptcies are up already more than all of last year because they're going in and they're taking the immigrant labor. And these small business owners were like, I'm a Trumper. I didn't think he was going to do this. So it's the cognitive dissonance. They didn't think he was going to do this. You see all the protests by Palestinian people during the Trump or Biden administration, and Trump makes a Hotel Gaza video. Like, these people, I don't know if they've otherized that this wouldn't happen to them. That's what they continue to say when I see them in clips. I didn't think this was going to happen to me. So I'm with you. How do you make them understand that it doesn't matter what you are, according to this administration, unless you are white, you are on a white male, you are on the chopping block, full stop.
I mean, you just can't shame the shameless.
You cannot.
And so I would just want to move along to another issue here. Brian Tyler Cohen is reporting the following. Trump has reportedly ordered the military to draft plans to deploy troops against Americans in other areas that voted against him last year. Chicago is likely next after DC. And this is where white men can fall prey to a fascist regime. This is where every warning sign was there. People like us were accused of being hyperbolic, but I wonder if somebody could have warned us that he was going to do this. I wonder if somebody could have told us this is what this man is going to do. Put up the headline. The Hill did a story that says Kamala's newest lie: Trump will send the army after you. And the guy who wrote this article, his name is Derek Hunter. And of course, he hasn't updated this, but the Midas Touch retweets all of this and says the road to fascism is paved by publications who endlessly smeared Kamala Harris by running pieces like this. And at the end of the day, this dismantling of democracy, and I don't know how, if we make it to the midterms, I don't know how you return to a world of checks and balances because there's been so much erosion. I'm hopeful for it, but I don't know how you do it. But I do know this. I do know that publications, 77 million Americans, and all of these people that engage in this cognitive dissonance that want to be cruel to others, that can dish it out, but they can't take it. And that's the thesis sentence for these pricks. They can dish it out all day long, but they can't take it. I guarantee it that if Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth and Lil Smokey and Moses Mike Johnson, if any of their Google search history or some sort of secret of theirs was revealed, they would piss their pants live on camera. These men are cowards. They are weak. They are bullies. And I believe that we have a very small window, a very small time to keep at these people. We have to keep hammering at how hypocritical, depraved, and cruel they are, because they have intentions to militarize all the streets. And the reason for that is Kanks is going to drop dead, per Alex Jones, within 12 months. Okay. So Kanks is going to drop dead. Lil Smokey does not have the riz. So they have to have a military in force to make sure that power isn't transferred. That's why DC was first. Who's going to enforce the transfer of power if the military is reporting to Lil Smokey, who's reporting to the Antichrist, Peter Thiel? It's all intentional, and we have to keep hammering at them. Okay, that's all we have for this episode. Buy our book, pinned below in the show notes. Life is a Lazy Susan of Shit Sandwiches. Subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much, and we'll see you later.
No, dude, literally, bro, like, I didn't even think he was gonna be this bad, you know. I didn't think he was gonna just deport innocent people, dude. Like, literally, he said he was only gonna go after gang members and, you know, dangerous criminals. How did my parents get here? They crossed the border. What's a tariff? A tariff is like kind of like a tax, but like we don't pay for that. Don't worry, China's gonna pay for that, and Mexico, not me though, not me. Yes, I did see that the stock market was crashing, dude, but you have to understand, like, dude, literally, it gets worse before it gets better. I promise. Like, it gets worse before it gets better. Yeah, you know, I graduated and I wanted to work for the government, dude, but I don't know, like, they took away my offer because Trump's, like, Doge cuts and stuff, and Elon Musk, you know, but it's okay. Maybe I'm not meant to work in the government, you know. Maybe I'll be...
After some time, Black people have come to notice how President Trump behaves, you know, in certain situations. They can almost predict what he will say next. They can almost predict what he's thinking about them. Now, this is a situation where this guy is trying to be nice to Black people. He has done all these ills and he has made these things possible to happen to Black people. But now when he needs Black people and he needs their help, he tries to behave as if he is nice to them, you know, trying to behave as if he cares about them, cares about the other races, apart from the white ones, of course. Now, for example, if you remember for the time that there were these campaigns before the elections, the way this guy was relating, for example, to Latinos, you could tell that this is someone that is trying to be friendly, he's trying to be nice, he's trying to be, to make this picture that he cares about them, and that his main interest is making sure that everyone in America, regardless of race, they are okay. The Latinos were fooled during that time. There are many white people that were fooled alike. Most of the white people were going to vote for him anyway, simply because he is their own. But there's also this fact that he lied to them. There's a lot of things that he said to them that made them, feel as though when he gets into power, they're going to be way more and better than the black people and the other races. Now, all these things were lies, because how do you know that? When you now realize and see these things that are happening right now, when you hear these people talk about the situations and how hard things are, then it comes to your realization that actually whatever he said, whether it was to white people or black people or Latinos, he was lying the whole time. Everything he promised to do for people, he has not done, and he definitely, most definitely has no plans to do that. He is very concerned about his billionaire friends and how to get them richer and richer, while at the same time working so hard to make sure that the poor people remain poor, so that they can always be there to work for him, to make sure that his businesses are going right. Now, he is trying to act nice and trying to almost speak as though he cares or gives two shits about black people, trying to make them feel as though he understands their situation. He does not. Clearly, he does not understand what black people go through, because for anyone that understands the things that black people have gone through, the things they have endured, the things that they keep going through even as we speak right now, for anyone that understands such stuff, they will behave different. Now, for this guy, he's not behaving in any way or manner to suggest that he's learning. He's not behaving in any manner to show that he regrets his actions or that his concern is making sure that black people are taken care of. His only intention is to make sure that black people are going back to work for them, and working for the white people means trouble for yourself, because you're not going to be paid enough. You're working so hard. They're making sure they're taking all your sweat, all your sweat, all your blood, all your strength. But when it comes to payment, you're not being paid enough. Whatever work you're doing is not going hand in hand with whatever pay you're getting in return. And black people have noticed that, and they have said it's enough. They're not going to do that. They're not going to work on those facilities and farms of white people, that they should look for cheap labor elsewhere. They should maybe dress up and go do work on their own farms, because when black people are talking about let's be paid enough to make sure that this work is worth it, they're never listening. They're not ready to listen. They're not ready to care about how that is affecting the livelihood of black people. They have made it almost like they use black people for cheap labor, and that's the only reason they want to keep them. Now, talking about the issue of illegal immigrants, these people, most of them, if you're being honest to yourself, these people do not come to America for anything. They have made it look like immigrants come to America, especially the illegal ones. They come to America to be violent, to cause crime, to do all that bad stuff. The actual truth is, when these black people are coming to America, they're actually coming to work, because back home where they come from, it is chaotic in terms of the economy is bad. There are no jobs, and the small jobs that are there are even overwhelmed, because the population is higher than the opportunities that are available. Now, these people, instead of staying in their home countries and dying of hunger and all those things, and their families perishing at the same time, they opt to come to America to work. If you're very honest with yourself, and I know even the white people that are watching this, they know so well, deep in their hearts, they know that when these immigrants are coming to America, they are coming for nothing than just working and making sure that they at least can afford something for themselves and for their families back at home. That is the same situation for the legal immigrants. They immigrants, for example, Africans in America, and especially the ones that are coming from Africa, they are not there for anything else apart from finding money to help them live a decent life and to help the people back at home. Yeah, I'm speaking this because I'm in Africa and I know what is happening here. There are no job opportunities. The few that are there, there's a lot of tribalism, there's a lot of just nepotism, crazy stuff that is going on. So if you do not have a tall uncle somewhere, you're not going to get a job. You know, all these things. Now, people are left without a job. They're left without any money source. So they decide that they will go abroad to make sure that they get something little for them and for their families back at home. Those are not the people that are coming there to fight. They do not care about whatever is happening with the government, the systems, and everything. Their main intention is to work, and by them working, they're even making America great because they pay taxes. They are, you know, doing all these things as just the rest of the citizens. And that is still upsetting to white people. They think black people are taking their jobs, you know, talking about all these things, expecting black people to go to work on their farms and accept to be paid that little. Black people have made up their minds. They're not going to do that. They're not going to accept to be used anymore. They have been used for way too long, and they have made their mind up, all of them, and they have united. As you can see in my videos, we talk about these things more often, and you can see from these conversations that black people have decided to come together, and the only thing that they are waiting on right now is for God to take care of them, because they have tried everything that they can to make sure that the government hears them, helps them, and makes sure that they're also okay. But the government has proven that they do not care about black people. Now, black people have made peace with that, you know. It is usually very hard for you when you're dealing with someone that has made up their mind and they have made peace with the situation. Now, that is what is happening with black people. They do not care anymore what is happening in the world. They do not care what is happening in America, what Trump is thinking, what he's doing to them, you know. They have just made peace that they will be okay. They have made a deliberate decision to be fine with whatever happens and comes their way. Now, for him to think that he will sweet talk black people into acting for, you know, to his advantage, he's so wrong. He's so lost. If he's expecting black people to turn up in large numbers, to bow to him again and to listen to whatever he has to say and actually do what he's saying, he's so wrong on that, and he's yet to find out. I'm sure it's already hitting him, but he has not exactly gotten the intensity of how this issue is. Black people are not going to work for them. Black people are not going to work for low pay. Black people are not going to be used anymore for whatever. Now, guys, I know you have thoughts. You know, we always interact on this channel. There are things that you would want to say. Please consider going to the comment section and leave a comment on what you think about this. Do you really think this guy cares about black people? Do you think that we are judging him way too much? Do you think that we're being too harsh when we say that he's just trying to be nice? And if you're a white person and you have something to say about this video, you can also share your thoughts. You know, we would like to know what you think about this. And if you have not subscribed to my channel, kindly consider doing that, because you need to be part of this amazing family. And any returning subscribers, thank you so much. Just know that I see you every single time. When you leave a comment, when you leave a like, when you share this video, I see you. Just that we are way too many that I cannot point out and name everyone, but just know that I see you, and I really appreciate every small thing that you do for me and for this channel. So guys, I hope that you also keep very safe. I will see you on my next video. So bye for now.